What's good, YouTube? This is the Only Big Green Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm back again with another deck profile. And this deck profile is going to be another Troop Dupe Scoop format deck, and the specific ban list for this format is the June 2007 ban list. This deck is going to be of T-Hero, and if you guys are wondering, like, why T-Hero? That's not a thing. The T stood for a player who actually used to play back then that used to pilot decks like these and would just run through the competition, He topped many of Shonen Jump championships, which if you guys don't know what those are, it's basically the equivalent to a YCS today. So he was basically how Jesse Cotton is today. He was basically the early stage of Yu-Gi-Oh! Jesse Cotton in terms of just topping. Anyways, getting right into the deck profile. One of Elemental Hero Stratos. Of course, any hero deck, especially early in Yu-Gi-Oh! When this card came out, basically played Stratos at whatever quantity it was allowed at, and of course it was limited in this format, but just a super strong card letting you grab to hand any hero monster from your deck. 2 Destiny Hero Dasher. Of course its graveyard effect is really strong, and it comes in as a great beater where you can just tribute one of your monsters and make it a 3100 attack. Triple Destiny Hero Malicious, another very strong hero monster. Banishing it from your graveyard to special summon out another one from your deck. It's just great for Metamorphosis, great for tributing. The 1 of Destiny Hero Disc Commander. Whenever it's special summoned from the grave, you draw 2 cards. It's not the eroded one that we know today. This is the original one. And this card was just absolutely nuts. There's a reason it was banned. I mean, a Pot of Greed that you can immediately tribute summon for is a bit too strong. 3 Cyber Dragon. Cyber Dragon, 2100 attack, and basically get to play it for free if your opponent controls a monster and you don't. It's a pretty good card and very great fusion monsters that it can go into if you are playing the fusion spells, which I'm currently not in this deck. The 1, Rise of the Storm Monarch. Ryza was really good because whenever he's tribute summoned, you target a card on the field and it puts it back on top of that player's deck. So it's just really good at setting your opponent back a turn, especially if they're starting off slow. 1 of Jinzo. Jinzo, again, is another super powerful card. Basically taking out a whole mechanic from the game and trap cards. Early on, back then in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where traps were actual traps and not just stuff you held into your hand as an interruption piece. 1 of Dark Magician of Chaos. Again, like with Disc Commander, this was back when it was in its prime and in its glory, not with the eroded effect. So DMOC was definitely a big powerhouse and very hard to get over. 3 Card Trooper. It's Troop Dupe Scoop, so of course you're playing 3 Card Trooper. Card Trooper lets you mill anywhere from 1 to 3 cards, and then it gains 500 attack for each card milled until the end of the turn, essentially making it a 19-point beat stick. And whenever it's sent to the graveyard, you get to draw cards, or destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you get to draw a card. I'd be insane if you could Foolish Burial this and then draw one. That'd be nuts. 1 Snipe Hunter. Snipe Hunter, definitely the best removal card in this format, in my opinion at least. You get to discard a card and then roll a die and then pop something on the field if it's not a 1 or 6. And like I've said in other profiles, sometimes the discarding isn't all that bad, because with Malicious, you can discard him and set up plays with it, and then Disc Commander, you can discard Disc Commander and basically get to draw off of Disc Commander when it's summoned back. So discarding in a lot of cases isn't that bad. On to the 1 of Sangan. Sangan, another classical old school card that's just really great. Whenever it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add to hand a monster from your deck with 1500 or less attack, which essentially is your whole deck except Stratos and your tribute monsters. And then lastly for the monsters, a Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar, just great at emptying out both players' hands and drawing more cards. This is, in my opinion, one of the more skillful cards to play in this format. This card can be a complete blowout. It's just insane. The 3 Destiny Draw. Destiny Draw, discard a hero or a Destiny hero monster and then draw 2 cards. Of course, sending a Mali off of this it just gets so much crazy stuff that can happen sending a Mali off of this. Or if you open up this, a way to Disc Commander and a Premature Burial, it also gets insane because you're going to accumulate 4 cards. still haven't even using your normal summon yet. 2 Reinforcement of the Army. Basically, you're just going to add the Hand Stratos off of this. 2 Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis, normally you're going to use your Malicious for this, or like a Cyber Dragon special summon for it. Typically are the good plays, because unfortunately, Thousand Eyes, of course, was banned, so you can't use your Disc Commander as a target for this. 1 of Brain Control. Pay 100 life, take control of opponent's monster, and then do whatever you want with it. The back row removal during the time, Heavy Storm, and then the MST. Confiscation, Snatch Steal, and then Premature Barrel, all amazing cards. And I would consider in this deck specifically this card to be the best of the 3, just because of how saying the Destiny Hero Disc Commander plays with this card is absolutely insane. It basically makes it a Pot of Greed that you can immediately tribute summon for. Onto the trap cards, the big Power 4 trap cards. This, if you've played GOAT format, this definitely looks familiar to you, because these are just the standard 4 trap cards that basically almost every Yu-Gi-Oh deck in the early stages of Yu-Gi-Oh played, with Mirror Force TT being big board wipe cards, Ring of Destruction being an amazing interruption piece that can just straight up end games, and then Call of the Haunted in this deck again being extremely strong because of Disc Commander turning it into basically a Pot of Greed. And then 1 of Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Phoenix Wing Wind Blast kind of works like Ryza does, where you target a card and it spins it back to the top of that player's deck. And the discard, once again, like with Snipe Hunter, isn't all that bad in some cases, because you put a Mali into the grave that you can immediately tribute for or Metamorphosis away. The last and final 3 cards in the entire deck, Triple Trap Dust Shoot. Trap Dust Shoot is banned for a reason, with the fact how if your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand, you get to look at the opponent's hand and then put 1 card back into the deck. Just extremely strong, especially if you open up multiple of them and win the die roll. It's basically writing on the wall that you're most likely going to win that game. And then here is some of the extra deck. I'm not going to go into depth with this. I'm just going to show them enough time on screen so you can see them. In my opinion, like one of the best monsters that I like going into is Ryu Senshi. Ryu Senshi's insane because it's basically like a Jinzo, but you get to choose what traps you want to go off or not. Steam Gyroid, if you're playing like more machine stuff, like if you're playing a more machine type deck, which I do have a machine deck profile as well for this format, this card is really great to go into. And then these cards are basically impossible to make. And then right there with the Cyber Dragons, if you do decide on playing like more cyber cards with Overload Fusion and Future Fusion, of course these are definitely going to be needed. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. This has been the Only Big Green Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm signing out.